Okay, people, here is the first partial study guide. Each one of these is a different topic. This would be one topic, another one, another one, another one, another one, and one last topic. Okay, they're not necessarily in the order that we saw them in class. So they're not in the same order as we saw them in class. All right. So this is the new topic, the incomplete thesis statements. Because of time constraints, as you know, the first partial came up on us really, really quickly. But fortunately, I was prepared for that. There was no way to omit topics. There's a lot of information, a lot to be learned in this course, and there was no way to avoid seeing all of these topics in first partial. As it says here, there's a new YouTube video. Okay. First it says see page 9 of the manual. You can go to your manual, go to page 9, and you see some models for some different thesis statements. And there are two different styles here, and you have to be familiar with both of those styles. If you go to the YouTube video, you can learn everything right there. It's all right there. Yeah, even the information from the manual. Just watch the video, listen to the explanation, pause it whenever you have to, go back, listen to it again, do the exercises, and do more practice. And just to show you, here we got my video channel. And you can see that I just finished uploading this video, the incomplete thesis statements. All right. So even if you're absent all week, you can still learn the last topic. I've got a little summary here. It's all in the video. All of this is in the video. All right. So here's the second topic, define plagiarism. We did that for homework. If for some reason you didn't do that, or if for some reason you don't remember seeing it in class, well, you just go to the internet and find a technical definition of plagiarism and more or less memorize it. It doesn't need to be more than 1 or 2 sentences, but it needs to be a technical, or as we say, a textbook definition of plagiarism, because if you just say, for example, plagiarism is cut and paste, or plagiarism is when you steal somebody's words and use them as your own. Okay, those are colloquial definitions. I want a technical definition on the exam. I think it's just 1 or 2 points on the exam, but it's part of the course, and you have to know that. Next, what are 5 characteristics of a good thesis statement? We saw this in class, and I believe I can show you the same information on a presentation slide. Give me just a moment. Here we go. You can use any of these and call them characteristics of a good thesis statement, including the first one. Basically, you have to memorize these, and they don't have to be word for word, but you do need to repeat some of the key words so that I know that you're not just making stuff up. For example, if you mention that a good thesis statement always mentions both sides of the argument, well, okay, it might be true that that's the style that we use in class, but that's not part of this presentation, and I'm going to count it wrong. Okay, if you say on the exam that a good thesis statement should use contrast words like although or however and nevertheless, I'm also going to count it wrong. Okay, that might be something that you find in a thesis statement. It's true that we use that language in our thesis statements, but it's not part of this presentation. Just because you remember characteristics of a thesis statement that we saw in class doesn't mean that those characteristics qualify for this topic. Okay, so you cannot just mention things that you remember from the thesis statements we saw in class. You really have to study this. Okay. Going up here, editing with proofreading marks or proofreader's marks, same thing. If you go to the manual, we have all of this in the manual. I have to go back to the table of contents because I don't remember the page number. It's on page 22, and where is that? The proofreader's marks are here. Okay, so we saw these in class. There are a couple of marks that we mentioned in class that aren't included in the guide, and then we have several practices. You're going to see something like this just on the exam, and you have to use the proofreader's marks to indicate where the mistakes are. Okay, you do not have to rewrite the paragraph on the exam. You only have to apply the marks, which means you find all of the mistakes that you can find and you indicate the mistakes with the proofreader's marks, which are accepted marks from the world of journalism. So when you need a capital letter, you underline here, for example, the D several times, and that indicates that the writer is supposed to capitalize that letter. You need to know how to use those marks. On the exam, I give you the first column, which is this, as a little guide on the last page of the exam. It's not an activity, but there's a guide as if it were like a formula sheet for chemistry or mathematics. There's a guide just to remind you what the marks are, but I don't give you the explanations, and I don't give you the examples on the exam. You're supposed to know that. Okay, so if you were absent, you need to practice this at home. I'm planning on asking a student from each group to publish on the WhatsApp an example of this work, very well done, with all of the appropriate marks, or almost all of the appropriate marks. So look for some student work to be published in your WhatsApp group this week for this topic. Alright, so next is the Jane Schaffer writing. In class we wrote a paragraph about a fairy tale, and it was not a summary of the fairy tale. It was a very specific assignment. If for some reason you didn't do it, well, you have to do it, and you have to be prepared to do it, or something very similar on the exam. So how do you learn how to do it, and what are examples of correctly written Jane Schaffer paragraphs? Well, how do you learn how to do it? Well, if you were, we actually learned this online. Go back to my YouTube channel, and you'll see this video. Write a paragraph in Jane Schaffer style, okay? And you can learn how to write that paragraph. The assignment is also detailed in this video. If you were absent, you need to do that. It's there in the video. Okay, so how do you know if you did it correctly? Well, we took those paragraphs to class and we exchanged them with a partner, and the partner looked for several characteristics. In class, I also pointed out some of the most common mistakes. Well, besides that, I published this video, feedback for Jane Schaffer fairy tale paragraph, and it's your job as a student in this class to compare your work to the different examples that come in this video, and you have to watch the whole video, and every time I mention a specific type of mistake, you have to compare your work to the mistake highlighted in the video, and you verify that your paragraph does not have the same mistake. If your paragraph has the same mistake, then you should write that again for practice. As a matter of fact, you should write your whole paragraph again just for practice, to be sure that you know all of the elements and every major error that's mentioned in this video. If it's a mistake that I mentioned in class, and if it's a mistake that I mentioned in the video, you must avoid making the same mistakes when you write a Jane Schaffer paragraph on the exam. So about that paragraph, you have to bring your 4-color pen. That's green, blue, and red. We don't actually use the black in the Jane Schaffer paragraph. Over and above that, you're responsible for using correct language for commentary sentences, and for that you go to the manual on pages 4 and 5, and I'll show you where that is in the manual. Go to pages 4 and 5, and we actually change this. On page 4, we call this technique number 2. Yeah, they're out of order. And we call this technique number 1. We've also got technique number 3. So you've got 3 techniques for writing commentary sentences: the repetitive cohesion, using specific language from the manual, and in emergency cases, as long as you don't abuse the privilege, you can use one of the generic commentary sentences. Remember that the Jane Schaffer paragraph is the topic sentence in red, the topic sentence in blue, the concrete detail in red, 2 commentary sentences in green, and the concluding sentence in blue. You have to follow all of the specifics mentioned in class, and you have to pay attention especially to the different points that I make on the YouTube video. That's this right here, the feedback for Jane Schaffer fairy tale paragraph. So that's how to learn that, and that's how to do that. Okay, I wasn't finished with that. Next and last topic, actually it's 2 topics together. I give you 2 thesis statements. If you recall from class, the first example was whether Veracruz is still a good place to live, and we saw 2 possible thesis statements, one expressing one side, that yeah, it's a great place to live, and the other one expressing the opposite side, that it's not such a good place to live anymore. You considered those 2 ideas, and you started to think of different possible responses with an open mind. And when you were collecting those ideas, you did so by brainstorming. You wrote down your ideas, and then you, based on your ideas, you decided which side you wanted to write on. Okay, so whether you wanted to say Veracruz was good or bad, you made that decision after you collected your ideas. Then you put your ideas into different groups, and you tried to categorize them to make 3 very distinct ideas, which would become your topic sentences 2, 3, and 4. You wrote those ideas using language from class. You wrote those topic sentences, excuse me, using language from class and language from the manual. Where do you find that language? Well, I think it's on page 11, if I'm not mistaken. There's page 10 and page 11. So you took your best arguments and you express one of them in topic sentence number 2 using probably this language, one reason why, and then topic sentence number 3 with another reason why, and then topic sentence number 4 with still another reason why, or yet another reason why. You have to use that language. You're not free to use different styles for this. You have to use my style until I give you special permission, and nobody has special permission yet. Then after that, you wrote topic sentence number 1. We did that later because as you probably know by now, topic sentence number 1 is for the body paragraph that refers to the opposite side. Here's our persuasive essay layout. Thesis statements are found here in the introduction. Then topic sentences are the main idea sentences that are in the individual paragraph. Your first point goes in body paragraph number 2, and it's a topic sentence. That's one sentence. Your second point goes in body paragraph. Actually, these are not marked by body paragraph. This is introduction. This is body paragraph number 1. This is body paragraph number 2, body paragraph number 3, body paragraph number 4. Okay, so the introduction and the conclusion are not body paragraphs. Let's go back. Body paragraph number 2 has topic sentence number 2. That's your first big argument. Body paragraph number 3 has topic sentence number 3. It's your second big argument. Body paragraph number 4 has topic sentence number 4. That's your third big argument. And body paragraph number 1 is all dedicated to the opposite side, and you use different language for that topic sentence. The language that we're using, most of us are going to use, it must be admitted that. We did this in class with each of the 4 groups, and we learned that in order to generate topic sentence number 1, you refer to your thesis statement and you focus on the general language from the first half of the thesis statement, because every thesis statement expresses both sides, and in the style that we use, the opposite side, the one that you don't really support, is always expressed in general terms in the first half of the thesis statement. So in order to write topic sentence number 1, that's what we have to do. We have to express the opposite side in general terms, and you can find that language in the thesis statement if you focus on the first half of that thesis statement. What you need to say is right there. So with the Veracruz topic, for example, your topic sentence number 1 would be something like, if you chose that Veracruz is still a great place to live, you would say the opposite in topic sentence number 1, something like, it must be admitted that there are some reasons to believe that Veracruz is not such a good place to live anymore. Let's imagine that we're talking about the raise your children in the city or raise your children in the country topic, which is the second one we saw in class. If you said that raising your children in the city is better, and that's what most people chose, for your topic sentence number 1, the opposite side, you expressed the opposite opinion, and you can find that in those original thesis statements. Check your notes or check your What's Up images, and you're going to see something like, and you can steal that language from the thesis statement, and you're going to say that it must be admitted that there are some good reasons to raise your children in the country, period. And that would be topic sentence number 1. Remember to omit specific reasons in topic sentence number 1. For topic sentence number 2, you have specific reasons, but you don't go into detail. You only mention the reason, and then the sentence is over. So one reason why raising your kids in the city is better is the infrastructure. Another reason why raising your kids in the city is a great option is the social networking. And still another reason why it's good to raise your kids in the city is the educational options. And those would be all of your topic sentences. Don't expand on those ideas, because if you're expanding on those ideas, well, you're ruining the body paragraph. Those extra details, the explanations, etc., the examples, they come later in the body paragraph, and we're not doing that right now. When I ask you to write topic sentences, you only write the topic sentences. You don't continue to write the rest of the body paragraph. Okay, so that's all. If you know how to do all of this, you're ready for the first partial exam. It's actually very easy, and I usually have 2 or 3 people from every group that get 100% on the exam. Totally manageable. Even if you've been absent, almost everything's online. Good luck with that.